Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. Comedy.
Let's take a risk.
Frankly, no. Russia should go away and shut up.
Oh, you need to get rid of that one. Yeah,
You hate him, don't you?
My gosh.
He is a... Thank you for listening to Two Talking Arseholes. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and may deal with adult topics and adult themes.
Brownstown, we're with you when you fight. Brownstown, bark with the dogs tonight. Brownstown, Cleveland is right behind
you. Boom-tish.
Boom-tish. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talking to Our Souls. This is the 20th day of February. 30 days have September, April, June and November. All the rest have 31, apart from February. It's so unfair. And it's me, Steve Henn. And over there we have...
I'm a goose stepping and stepping down. Dorries. Mr. Singh.
Now, if you're listening to this, that'll seem perfect. But if you're watching this, you'll see Av casually looking down at his notes. Oh, do we have to talk about Nadine Dorries first? Is that the first thing we have to talk about? She's just a monstrosity. You know what I'm like. You know what I'm like with conservative women. I used to quite fancy her when she was in the jungle. I thought she was quite cute. But since Boris came along, my God, she doesn't half talk a load of drivel.
Have you spoken to the Prime Minister recently in the last 24 hours?
Why? Why are you asking me that question?
I'd like to know.
We've communicated.
I'm really confused. Is that a difficult question? I'm just asking if you've spoken to the Prime Minister in the last 24 hours.
We have communicated.
I think she wants to bear his children.
You're not on your own. You're not on your own. I've seen.
But you want to bear his children as well.
If I could, well, you say children. I mean, do you imagine the amount of money? Has he made 5 million since he stepped down as Prime Minister? I think that figure came round just for talking. And what does he say when he talks? Peppa Peg, well, blah blah brumba. And he gets 5 million quid for that. But so when did she step? Has she just announced that she's?
No, she's not. She's not going to stand at the next election because she said on her TV show on Talk TV.
Of course, she's now a star.
I'm afraid it's this behaviour that I now have to just remove myself from. And so, despite it being a job that I've loved for every year that I've done it, I'm now off. My gosh, I just said it out loud. There's no going back now.
Yeah. She's stepping down because the Conservatives won't win the next election because people are angry and upset that Boris isn't Prime Minister. Something like that.
So basically she's saying that the Conservatives won't win the next election because Boris is not their leader, not the fact that if Boris was their leader, they wouldn't win the next election anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think they will.
Well, I can't see it happening. Unless it's a miracle and they turn around the economy and start giving people shitloads of money.
I
don't see it.
But they're all leaving this thing of shit because they know they're not going to get their seats back. That's the thing. But isn't she a lady now in the House of Lords? Isn't she? Wasn't she made a dame?
Nothing like a dame.
And she's nothing like. It is, isn't it? Baroness. Is she a baroness? That's it. She'd be baron.
You have to be careful because there's plenty of... You want to say stuff about her, but then you don't want to be accused of being...
Misogynistic.
Yeah.
I think that's fine with Nadine Dorries because she it's got nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman. It's the fact that she's an absolute disgrace of a person.
The word Partygate is just, it's a misnomer. Number 10 is an office building with an iconic front door. Parties, as far as I'm concerned, take place socially. This was people in their own workplace.
And you can be a disgraceful person, whatever gender you are, and you can see that in the Conservative Party at the moment anyway. It just so happens she I mean, you look at Patel and Suella Braverman, right? There's a difference between them and Nadine Dorries. I mean, I don't know what it is, but Nadine Dorries really isn't on the same planet as those two.
Well, the darker to start off with.
I don't see colour.
No, I'm just saying. Yeah, but the darker is there a difference between them? Is it like just Conservative MPs who don't know what they're doing?
Yeah,
that's the similarity, isn't it?
But I think that's because they've been in power for so long that they've just they started off. Then, but Johnson got rid of a load of almost respectable Conservative MPs.
You're pointing to get into there. Johnson got rid of his load.
It's Ab's Joke of the Week. We may have peaked, but you may have more. But I quite like the idea of Johnson's load. That's the only reason it's going in. But no, there has been quite a lot of Conservative MPs just kicked out, and then they got the new lot, and they all had to support Brexit. And if you support Brexit, and I'm sorry if you're listening to this and you did, and you actually believe it is a good thing, even though all the evidence has pointed now that it probably wasn't the best thing to do without some form of safety net, then you are mad, and that's why you're in the Conservatives.
I can't think of anyone who's really, I would say, they're competent.
Tom took me from behind.
Oh,
is that his name? Took me from behind. He seems to be a little bit more honest. He seems he seems to open his mouth and less rubbish comes out.
Yeah, I'm not just going to be bashing the Conservatives. I think I said this before and I stand by it. I think anyone who goes to be an MP nowadays is not going to serve the public, they're going to serve themselves, no matter what side they're on. You get me started now, Steve, the bloody MPs.
Well, we could move on then, because we could talk about Zelensky's speech.
I actually didn't see it.
I was listening to it on the radio, and he was just so brilliant at talking. He was like so honest. Everything was like from the heart. And at one point, he gave them a present, the MPs, and I don't know who opened it. It was somebody near the speaker's bench, and it was a big box, and he opened it, and it was a helmet from one of his Air Force flyers. What do you call people who fly aeroplanes? Thank you very much. A pilot. And it had some sort of saying on it, and he just wanted some aeroplanes. But the way he did it, it was perfect theatre, because no one could have said no to him, and Rishi didn't say no to him. He'll say, we do all we can, and then the next day he had to pull back and say, no, we're not going to give you any of our flying machines. You cunt. Shall we move on? Because you did mention something earlier, and I do want to talk about it.
John Cleese. So that's what I did in my intro. I split it between Goose stepping, John Cleese, stepping down, Nadine Dorries.
Nadine Dorries.
Yeah, there you go.
Harvey! Look, she'll love it! She's German!
No, Mr. Fawlty!
What?
Do Jimmy Cagney instead!
What?
Jimmy Cagney!
Jimmy Cagney?
No, you dirty rat!
I can't do Jimmy Cagney!
Please try. I'm gonna get you.
Shut up! Yeah, what? Who's this then? Stuff you, my knuckles! I'll do that for any more. You can't. Stop it! I'm trying to cheer her up, you stupid kraut. You have absolutely no sense of humour, do you? This is not funny! Who won the bloody war anyway?
I mentioned it once, but I got away with it. So, how many people now know what Fawlty Towers is, right? The people that watched Fawlty Towers, 70s, was it?
It repeated it.
Late
I remember
70s.
It repeated. I'm sure it repeated. It definitely repeated in the 80s. I'll say people maybe born in the 80s will probably know about it because they might have seen it in the 90s.
Well, my son, he still maintains it's one of the best situation comedies ever written. And I would, until John Cleese started going a little bit different, I would still hold Fawlty Towers up. But I haven't watched it for ages, but then I know it backwards. I could probably quote anything from it, really.
Okay.
That's Manuel. Very good. Manuel, there's too much better on dos tres. No, una, dos, tres. See, it's brilliant, brilliant. Mrs. Richards, the fatal accident. So, right, for those people who don't know, I suppose we should say that John Cleese, aged 112, is writing a new situation comedy based on Fawlty Towers with his daughter, Camilla.
As you know, I watch GB News occasionally. And
yes.
He was on there yesterday and they're interviewing him by your favourite journalist.
Not the New Zealand one.
Yeah. And he said, "Well, what's it going to be about?" You know, it's a bit strange because John Cleese doesn't know when to shut up, and he had to keep jumping in a polite way, trying to just shut him up. You know, try and steer him back on the conversation. We just ramble on a little bit. And he said, "Well, so you know, because they're saying some papers are saying it's going to be a major disappointment. It's going to take away from the original." And then John Cleese is saying, "Well, how do they know what I'm going to cover in it? They're just assuming because I'm going to be working on GB News to cover probably those things what they think I was going to be in the show. The show's going to be totally different. Because what's the show then? Where's it based and what's it about?" He goes, "Well, it's going to be in the Caribbean islands," and he has a hotel right in the Caribbean. I was like, it already sounds shit, doesn't it?
Yeah, everyone's going to say it's going to be brilliant, right? I want it to be brilliant, but that's the trouble. Also, you're never going to you can't say things now that you could say then. If he does say things now that he thinks he can say now, it might actually be interesting to watch. And he is funny. He's funny at writing, depending if he's got the right cast. It depends how much input he has. And what I read, he's talking to some American famous people. I don't know, can't remember their names, but they seem to be on the same page as him, and that impressed him.
Well, he was saying that he goes, "Would you take it to the BBC?" He said in a nice way, he goes, "BBC. I wouldn't go to the BBC because I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I have to keep justifying every probably bit of it. That's what the BBC do." I'm thinking, what you just said there, American. I can imagine an American broadcaster probably taking it on.
I think, well, considering Amazon showed Steve Coogan, I think Amazon's probably the best place for it. And Amazon or Netflix, I think, because they don't have those restrictions like we have here.
Yeah.
So, and I think he's only doing it for the money. No respect. With respect. Not sure what I meant there. I feel he's done things in the past just for money.
I think that
because of his divorce.
I think he's doing it for his daughter.
Cynthia.
Not
Cynthia. It's Camilla. It's the same as the king. It's a bit on the side. Okay. Camilla.
Okay.
That was my horse impression.
I think he says you said yesterday that she's been writing with her for the past 16 years. It might be just to help his daughter get some writing credits, perhaps.
I mean, he did say that he's old, white, and male and stale, and that's why he's not getting employed. And I thought, no, there's no place for old people anymore in the entertainment industry, really, because he can't be the young, funny man that he was. He's an old icons, bless us. We don't get the work no more.
The thing is, the problem is, when he was younger, he was very energetic, wasn't he? On the TV, he was running around.
I'll do the funny walk.
You know, gangly sort of arms and legs. You know. That was part of the comedy, wasn't it? Really, but at his age, that's one thing he can't do now, can he?
But I
So it
don't.
makes you
Yeah, it
think-
depends what he. I mean, if he is just Basil Fawlty now, then it's like the Picard thing. The Picard thing was very difficult for it to work because he's not the young Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah.
He's an old Jean-Luc Picard.
The fact is, he's an old actor,
Yeah.
and you're struggling to act. And I think the same thing's going to happen with John Cleese.
I have said some negative things about John Cleese, but John Cleese is one of my heroes, one of my comedy heroes, and I really do want it to be good, but I do think that ship had sailed. But you never know. If he pulls it out of the bag, I will be beside myself with glee and happiness.
So that's 2 egg mayonnaise, a prawn Goebbels, a Hermann Goring, and 4 colded cellars. Is there something wrong?
Will you stop talking about the war?
Me? You started it?
We did not start it.
Yes, you did. You invaded Poland. Yeah.
Formally commended later this year that faithful, stable Christian couples in a civil marriage or a civil partnership can, if they wish, come to church, and that their love for each other in that relationship can be acknowledged, celebrated, and the couple can receive a blessing. That's never happened before. I'm pleased about that.
Bless the gays.
Bless the guy. See, I am a big fan, but the church now this week have said that they will now bless and gay people are welcome. I'm just a little bit like, is it too little, too late, or is it? Do you think moving forward? That's if the church is still here in 50 years. In 50 years, will this be just a pointless exercise because everybody's just accepted everybody?
I think I heard someone make a point on TV saying they have to modernise because congregation is dropping, isn't it? So it's about footfall, Steve, isn't it? Really, at the end of the day, not necessarily about
Bums on seats.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's what it is. Because you think if the congregation was where it was 30 years ago, I don't think they'd be doing this now.
There's a lot of religious people that won't have it, that don't like the idea and think it's abhorrent. People are just growing up and living with people. I think the difficulty you got is I'm not so at Christianity, but all religions are based. They're from a long time ago, Stephen. Things were different. Cultures changed, governments changed, but old scriptures don't change. Because if you're Christian and you believe in the Bible, and I don't have read the Bible, but if it says in there that it's a sin, if the church says they can get married, it's going to turn away other people. Say, hold on, I've believed this all my life, and now you're saying they can get married in a church, and I've been told it's a sin. If they did that, it would turn people away. It might bring other people in, but it'll turn people who've been there for a while away. I think having a blessing is probably a bit of a get out, isn't it? For any religion to say, well, we're not getting married, but we can bless it. Maybe we can please both sides that way. Because I think you get blessed anyway. They're not actually blessing the gayness; they're blessing the people, right? And I do think you should go the whole way. You should be able to get married. I can't speak for the gay people, but would you want to get married in the church if they've been behaving like that for years? I think you'd hold your hands up and say, look, it's too late. But then I suppose what's wrong if you've been brought up as a Christian and you really believe in this nonsense and you are gay, then surely you would want the church to welcome you.
This way, Steve, if they've made it into a blessing and it brings more people into the church and their voices get louder, might not be long before they actually say, yeah, well.
Oh, they will. They will. I don't know if I will see it, but they surely must just start marrying people, whoever and whatever they are. I have a lot of respect for people who believe in religion. It's not the people that believe in religion that I have a problem with. It's the actual what it represents and what it stands for. But I'm sure he's a vicar. He could have been. I don't know what's higher than a vicar.
The Pope.
No, that's Catholicism. In the Church of England, it's a bishop. The bishop, isn't it? Yeah. But he seemed quite high up in the church, and he said, "No, I know it doesn't look like we've done much, but seriously, the way the church moves and how slow the church moves, this is actually a huge step forward." And that was the only thing that I thought was a good thing, that if he thought that it actually is a good move forward, even because the church moves so slowly, I think the times we move in now, it's always going to be playing catch up.
Let's put it this way, Steve. I think in this instance, the gays would want to bash the bishop.
I appreciate that, Af. I really do. But I think it's time to say goodbye. Say goodbye to the boys and girls. So, join us all again next week when you'll hear us talk exclusively from our souls.
Brownstown, Cleveland is right behind you.
Hey, thanks for listening to the show. We hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe and share this because it will help us. And don't forget to tune in next week, 8 p.m. Mondays. Ta-ra! Are you seriously expecting me to finish on Bash the Bishop?